What's up, everyone? This is Xavier, your host, and welcome to the 210 Stockyard.
Alright guys, I know I've been missing for about a week or two. I'm sorry, I've been making a lot of important business decisions, and it honestly has taken up a lot of my personal time. But I'm back just in time before week 8. The major event coming out of week 7 was the homecoming for A.J. McCarron. He returned to Alabama to take on the number 1 Birmingham Stallions. This game actually was really good. It did live up to the hype. It was the number 1 offense against the number 1 defense. There was over 7 lead changes in the game. And when it was all said and done, Birmingham ended up winning the game 30-26, a narrow 4-point victory. They remain undefeated and spoiled A.J. McCarron's homecoming. And while it was a good game, I can't be completely satisfied with the win, mainly because I'm unsure if the injury to A.J. McCarron's ankle was intentional or not, and I'll leave it at that. After week 7, both conferences remain at 7-7, a lot of 7s here. So both conferences still split the head-to-head matchup. Neither conference has really been more dominant over the other yet this season. And we still have 3 more weeks remaining in the regular season schedule to see if either conference can take the lead. The Birmingham Stallions had already clinched a playoff spot, and after week 7, the Michigan Panthers will join them. The USFL Conference Championship matchup is now set, and so that means that, teams have already been eliminated. On the USFL side, the Memphis Showboats and Houston Roughnecks are mathematically eliminated, and the XFL defending champion Arlington Renegades have been mathematically eliminated from the XFL side. The USFL Conference Championship game is set to take place Saturday, June 8th at 2 p.m. Central on ABC. Home field has not been decided yet, as both teams can still clinch home field advantage. Now, the big news for the past 2 weeks that everyone's been talking about is Ben Dinucci. Not more than a week ago, he tweeted out that he had been released by the Denver Broncos. It's all a part of the journey, and he's excited for what's to come. And for those of you that don't know or don't remember, Ben Dinucci last year in the XFL was number 1 in passing yards, number 1 in completions, he was number 2 in touchdowns, and number 3 in completion percentage. He led the Seattle Sea Dragons to the 2023 XFL playoffs, and last but not least, he was also an NFL quarterback the entirety of the 2023 NFL season. He had already previously expressed his desire or perhaps interest in still playing in spring football when he tweeted this out on April 17th. He kept it short and sweet. Can't lie, I miss the XFL. Trust me, Ben, we miss you too. So of course all the hype was what team would get him, where is he going to end up. And if you didn't see, he kind of already squashed that when he tweeted out, "As much fun as it would be, I'm not interested in playing in the UFL this season. Appreciate everyone who reached out over the last 3 days." My takeaway from this is the key word, this season. And for me, it makes the most sense that he not come back this year. I firmly believe that the Seattle Sea Dragons will be one of the teams that are going to be resurrected for the 2025 season. And part of my reasoning also has to do with this tweet that he also put out, where he says, asking for a friend, what would it cost to buy the Seattle Sea Dragons and bring them back next year? He directly tagged the UFL, and then jokingly says, I'm trying to be owner, president, coach, and QB. Now the crazy thing is, there's always some truth behind every joke. And I 100% believe that it is very possible for Ben Dinucci to, 1, make a comeback and obviously be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Sea Dragons, but 2, to somehow negotiate in his contract or in his return that he be named part owner of the team, or maybe allowed first dibs at purchasing the team when it becomes available. The league has already confirmed that expansion is part of the plan for the 2025 season. And as I just mentioned, I think the Seattle Sea Dragons are an obvious no-brainer as one of the expansion teams. The XFL still owns the rights to the name and likeness of the logo. The Sea Dragons social media still has a very good following at 112,000 followers here on Instagram. They still have a stadium deal in place with Lumen Field. And again, the number 1 factor working for them is Ben Dinucci himself. Already being popular and a local fan favorite, the buzz and the hype is already there. All he needs to do is come back. As for the USFL side, very recently 2 patents were filled for the name and likeness of the Canton Bulldogs, and I didn't know this is actually a very old team. They originated back in the 1920s. Here's a picture of the 1923 Bulldogs. Looks like they'll be making a comeback. Canton also has a very good housing situation there for a team. They have the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, which seats 23,000 people. That's perfect for spring football. Canton makes a lot of sense. This is a great fit. Next up, they filed a patent for the name and likeness of the Nashville Tuners. So obviously we can deduce that 1, they'll be playing in Nashville, and 2, their name is the Tuners, and I'm assuming it has to do with music, so I just came up with this generic logo. What do you guys think? Nashville also has a very good stadium solution in Geodis Park. This is where the Nashville FC soccer team plays. This stadium seats 30,109 people, and once again, this is a perfect fit for spring football. I personally love the idea of them playing on a soccer pitch, kind of like how the DC Defenders do in Audi Field. I think that is perfect. This city and stadium also make a lot of sense. And that just leaves us asking one final question. Who and where will the final team be? It's obviously going to be an XFL team. The XFL still has the right to the name and likeness of the Vegas Vipers. I think attempting to bring them back in Vegas would be a very stupid idea. It just failed there, and I hope they stay away from Vegas. The Vipers were previously the Tampa Bay Vipers, but I would prefer if the UFL stayed out of cities that already had NFL teams, and I would honestly love to see another city that's actually hungry for football get a team. They still have the Orlando Guardians, though the fan base isn't really there just because of how bad they performed last year. Previously they were the New York Guardians, and you can't forget they also still own the rights to the LA Wildcats. And as much as I love and want the idea of a team, a UFL team, being in San Diego, I would love for them to be the Fleet once again. The league has already confirmed California is out of the picture. Mainly has to do with tax laws there. I'm sure there's some other political, things involved, but for now the league is going to stay away from California. Sorry guys. I know, I wanted it too. So what city do I think is going to get the expansion team? Well, there's really no way of knowing, but my first pick is Oklahoma City. I think this makes a lot of sense. There's no pro football in Oklahoma. It's definitely a football city and state. It's a pretty close traveling distance from Arlington, so Oklahoma City just makes a lot of sense. My second, ideal city for the league would be Salt Lake City, Utah. Utah is another state that doesn't have pro football. They do have college football. They do have football fans. I'm aware that it's a heavy religious city and state, but I do think that the community there would definitely support football. And again, it's not that much of an inconvenience travel-wise. Now, of course, there are more cities and states. I don't want to dive into that because I could go on forever, but I just gave you my top 2 cities. And to piggyback off of the expansion topic, James Larson here of PFN tweets out that if there is expansion next year in the UFL, which does seem like it's a legitimate possibility, a Friday night slot would make sense if there were 5 to 6 games per week. And he makes this comment because the UFL newsroom reported that the UFL is set to air Friday night games in 2025. And my initial thought process on this is I'm not too keen on it. I would really rather them do a Monday night game. I don't care if it looks like they're trying to copy the NFL. I mean, we're already copying the NFL. We're already playing pro football. We're already playing on Sundays on ESPN and ABC and Fox, so why not tack on Monday Night Football? I do love Monday Night Football. I think it's a great way to grab ratings. I mean, it's going to be the only game on Monday night. And I'm not totally against Friday Night Football. I do love the Friday Night Lights. My only concern is that Friday nights tend to be a more socially active night. People want to go out. They go to clubs, bars, movies, dinner. You finish out the work week. If you're not a homebody, you're out and about. So my concern is that if a football game is being played on Friday night, it might not have as much viewership interest as a Monday night. But who knows, we might actually see 4 days of football. 1 Friday night game, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then 1 on Monday night. And that's a lot of football over a weekend. This is the Week 8 slate. These are all the games that are coming up. Looks like it's going to be a USFL Saturday followed by XFL Sunday. All the matchups on each day are interconference matchup. There is no out-of-conference matchup. So the first game that we get to kick things off, it's the Memphis Showboats versus the Michigan Panthers. Memphis is pretty much playing for pride at this point. Michigan is playing for home field advantage. I'm honestly not expecting fireworks in this game, but I think the obvious pick for the winner here is going to be the Michigan Panthers. I'll take them over Memphis by 12, and I suppose I'll take the under in this game. Final game on Saturday night is the Birmingham Stallions against the Houston Roughnecks, and it's pretty much the same thing. Houston's playing for pride, the Stallions are playing for home field advantage. And once again, I think the obvious victor in this matchup is going to be the Birmingham Stallions. I'll take Birmingham by 14, and I'll also take the over in this game. And the first game for XFL Sunday will be the DC Defenders taking on the St. Louis Battlehawks. This one's on ABC at 11 p.m. Central. St. Louis can clinch a playoff spot if they beat DC. If the Defenders win, they stay in the playoff race. I just don't know which DC team is going to show up to this game. If they play anything like they did last week, this one could be a blowout, but in any case, I am taking the Battlehawks to win this one. I think St. Louis wins by 14. I like the over in this matchup as well. And the final matchup will be my San Antonio Brahmas against the Arlington Renegades. San Antonio clinches a playoff spot with a win and a DC loss. The Brahmas return to home sweet home to take on the Arlington Renegades on Sunday the 19th at 3 p.m. Central. I'll be there. I'll be one of the loud guys in the front row screaming his head off the whole game. Sorry guys, that's just how I roll. And going into week 8, the Brahmas do own the Texas Triangle, the Lone Star Showdown, the Texas Three-Step, the Texas Standoff, whatever you guys want to call it. The Brahmas have beaten both the Roughnecks and Renegades already. We just have to close out the Renegades one more time. I'm pretty confident that we will, based on the fact that the Brahmas do have 3 of the top 5 leading tacklers in the league. Jordan Mosley, Tavante Beckett, and Jordan Williams have all been doing great this season, and I'm expecting to see a lot more tackles and a lot more sacks. It's a good thing our defense is ranked pretty high because the Brahmas have announced that they are still going to start or go with Quentin Dormady as QB1. I suppose I'm okay with this. I like that the team's still giving him another chance. If Dormady gets flustered again and frustrated or doesn't seem to have control of the offense like he did last week, I have no doubt in my mind that they're not going to hesitate to call in Kevin Hogan once again. The former Browns quarterback actually did pretty good stepping in and leading the Brahmas to that come-from-behind victory. And that's the wrap-up, folks. Once again, sorry for the delay. I appreciate you guys sticking around. And as always, what are your thoughts? Are you excited for the Week 8 matchups? Do you think that we'll see the remainder of the playoff teams solidify after Week 8? What do you think about Ben Dinucci and him coming back? What are your thoughts on expansion? I'm very curious about that. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification tab too, that way you know when a new video comes out. Thanks again for watching and hearing me out. As always, I'm Xavier, your host, and stay tuned for more episodes of the 210 Stockyard.